Good afternoon. As you know, it's 2 o'clock. That means it's 30 frames a second. And as many or most of you know, I'm Nat Wood. Today is October 1st, and there's a lot of stuff happening across the country regarding October 1st, 2013. The government has gone through a complete shutdown, and so a lot, maybe close to 1 million people have now been furloughed from their jobs, about 850,000 people. And the Affordable Care Act is in, and people are very, very concerned with that. If you add in addition to that, if you put in addition to that the violence in our community, the stop and frisk laws, the 4 or 5 million people in the prison industrial complex, the record number of unemployments, the problems that we have just within the context of our own families and dealing with our families and dealing in a society that has become increasingly more materialistic and more disillusioned, you can understand that we have a few issues to face. Today we're not going to get so political as we usually do, only in the sense that we are not going to deal with the issues, but we are going to deal with the symptoms and the effects of the issues on us. And I can think of no better person to speak to than the incomparable motivational speaker, Yolanda Felder. It is my privilege to have her as a guest today, and as you know, we're going to kick it live. It's going to be down and dirty, and she's going to come at us from a position that we all understand and appreciate. With that, if you guys have my opening, you can roll that opening, and we will be back. Where the victim is now the perpetrator and the perpetrator is now the victim. And that just drives me crazy. All right, and we're back. And as I said, it is my privilege to have with us today motivational speaker Yolanda Felder. And she is a gift from God, and we are going to heap as much stuff on her that she can help us deal with as humanly possible. So with that, I would like to welcome you to 30 Frames a Second and the 30 Frames family, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, and I feel really awesome to be here. I feel really great about that. Thanks for having me, and I'm sure the chemistry here, this is going to be a great show.
Yep. Let's start right off the bat. As you know, and I said this before, that October 1st represents the beginning phase of what has commonly or euphemistically been referred to as Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. And there are a lot of people who are very, very concerned, and their concern is basically about the uncertainty of not knowing what the future will bring. Most people, if you ask them what specifically they were concerned about, they could not give you a cogent response. But they are very concerned that this means the end of something or hard times, and a lot of people who are working, it's not just the unemployed who are concerned. Probably the unemployed are less concerned than the employed.
Right.
How do you deal with the fact that fear, first of all, creates so many job opportunities, so much wealth, so much income disparity?
Yes.
And it's used so frequently in so many mediums, and the effect that it has on the people. How do we address that?
Well, you know, first of all, let's address the Obamacare.
Okay.
I think that it's an awesome idea because for me, he's the first president that said, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and he's been doing it. And he's been fought at every cost. Every cost, they're fighting him. And this is just my personal belief, but I believe that everything that he's fighting for the American people, not just today, but generationally, and I mean that's really pretty much what it is that we're looking for, not just for our own wealth today, but generational wealth. So he's putting systems in place to be able to say that our children and our children's children, our children's children will be able to have affordable health care. And times are changing. It's not the 1950s America. This is a new millennium America. And we have to meet the needs of those people and the entrepreneurs. You know, everyone needs and has a right to health care. So if this is a good plan, which I think it is, then what's the problem? You know what the problem is? The problem is because it's him. But trust and believe, when he leaves office, everything that he ever wanted to put in place, I believe, will be passed. And that's sad.
That's interesting that you said that it's because it's him, because I actually believe that what you are saying is correct. And it's amazing because we have not even gotten to the debt limit struggle. And they have thrown every condition you can think of. I think the only thing that they have not thrown in, what they really want to do, is to have President Barack Obama to come to the podium and say, look directly into the camera and say, Jesus is white. Yeah.
And I surrender.
And I surrender.
Whatever you want to do, I surrender.
Right. And I really think that it's amazing that people have voted against their own best interests so many times simply because it's him.
Yes. They're willing to take down the whole country.
The whole country,
and
the
that
whole
leads
planet,
me,
because the economic system is tied globally.
Yes, and even though we're American, and you know, a lot of Americans will say, oh, you know, America is falling behind, and they're doing this and they're doing that. But the thing is, those other countries are still looking to America. And if there's so much division here, what does that say to the other countries? They're saying, well, if they can't get it together, we feel hopeless. And that, I'm sure, is not the message that the forefathers who came here had intended, you know, and times have changed, and we've gone through so many great leaps and bounds as people of color. And I mean, even down to now, we have an African-American president. And to have a Senate and Congress that's against him, to me, I believe that it's exposing a problem that they have been covering for so many years, you know, and I also believe that this can lead us to change, because you can't fix a system unless it's exposed. So because now it's being exposed, every one of those people that are in office, they represent their communities that voted them in. So now we don't necessarily have to look at Obama, but look at those people who are fighting against him. They represent so many communities in America. That's what's alarming, because you have too many people that operate from the good old boys system. And that's what we have to go in and vote them out and put new people in, people who are about togetherness, not Democrat, Republican, liberal, what? No, people who really see the agenda, that have an agenda of us as a people, because America will not be able to stand if they're divided, you know?
Let me ask you this, because I have said this on numerous occasions. Anyone who watches the show regularly will attest to the fact that I have made this observation, that the problem we face predominantly, we as a people, we children of the Middle Passage, that the biggest problem we face is not a problem of economics. It's not even a problem of education. Somewhere along the line, we have lost ourselves. We have lost who we were. Yes. And I hearken back to like my grandmother and my mother. I was raised by my grandmother and my mother. And I say over and over again, my grandmother could not get evicted if she wanted to. Right. And it wasn't because we had a lot of money, because we didn't have any money. What we had was a community. Yes. And they would throw all night rent parties and all night poker parties, and I'd
Yes,
wake up with
yes.
coats all over me, you know.
Yes, yes.
And the next night they'd all be at somebody else's house.
Mm-hmm.
There was a community that watched over all the children.
Yes.
You had to literally go
Yes.
to another state
Yes.
if you wanted to get in trouble. And somewhere along the line, we have become a self-serving people who only believe in me. And until we get back to a place where we are more loyal to each other, more loving to each other, more focused on goals that have meaning, we will be lost no matter how much money we may or may not
Right,
make.
exactly.
As a person who speaks to the broken spirit, how do you address this?
You know,
I mean, is it me? Is it
no,
just, okay.
no. What it is that, like you said, people are lost. And they're lost because the structure of the family dynamics has changed a lot. The me aspect comes from a shaping of a system. And the system is not about togetherness. The system is about tearing apart. And when you say you have 5 children, and you're working hard, you put everybody through school, and then the school, the colleges, and what they're being exposed to is making them feel bad for what mom and dad did for a living. So now they start looking down. Because what happens sometimes, not all the time, is that the children of the parents who go off to college, they're exposed to more, which is a good thing.
Right.
Because you'll never go any further than you think and what you've been exposed to mentally. So that's a good thing. But in being accepted, because you're mixed with other children who didn't necessarily come through the channels you came through. Maybe your parent was an immigrant and they had to scrub floors. You know, like for my family, my grandmother, she came here, her and my grandfather came here from Alabama. And you know, back then, like you said, they came up here and she scrubbed the floors at Queens General Hospital, and she worked her way up to becoming an LPN. And she was a nurse in the clinic at the GYN at Queens Hospital Center. But for her, in raising her 2 daughters, she raised them to go a step ahead, you know, get your college degree. And they instilled values in myself, my brother, and my cousin. So it's like, you know, you pass it down, but there are people who don't pass down wisdom. So say the child does go away to college, they may not necessarily feel hold here. Yes, they've accomplished getting a college degree, but where are they mentally? Where is their self-esteem? And in having your children go to college or even getting a good job or opening their own business, it's the parents' duty to put self-esteem in them. Don't allow systems. And I keep saying systems because that's all it is around us. It's a lot of systems. It's a lot of hidden agenda that doesn't necessarily speak to our children. You know, you don't need money to have the self-esteem.
Right.
What you need is the self-esteem. And when you have the self-esteem, then there lies your gifts, talents, and abilities. And then your gift, talents, and abilities will open the door for you, and money will chase you. Because you're exuberant. You're very fulfilled when you're helping someone and you're doing exactly what you were put here to do. And a lot of times, it's lost when children move away from the family structure, or that the family did not instill those values. And that's what it is. Morals and values are very low. And you have families that are constantly moving. You know, years ago you buy a house, you stayed there for 30 years. Now you buy a house, people are leaving in 15 years. Or in some cases, people are being foreclosed on.
Right.
So they move. And then neighborhoods are transient. And when neighborhoods are transient, you cannot get a grip on what is the moral characteristics of the environment, because it's constantly moving and you don't know what kind of energy the people are coming with. You know, years ago, you moved in a neighborhood because you gel well. Now people are looking at the price. And then if they don't share the same values you share, they won't go outside and sweep the front.
Right.
You know, they'll just leave it. They won't shovel the snow. They won't put the garbage out. They'll move into the neighborhood and put the clothes in the front of the yard and barbecue. Instead of, we don't do this in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah, no. What you say is
don't know any better.
is so true. It's dead on point. Not only are neighborhoods in a constant state of flux, but employment opportunities are in a constant state of flux. One of the biggest things is that there has been a dissipation of unions, and there has been a dissipation of government jobs and jobs that tend to last and give people stability. One of the biggest things I hate is when people refer to themselves as middle class, or like some sort, like you get your value from how many
income.
Right, your income.
Yes.
And that's so strange to me, because there are some people who do extraordinary things. I'm living in a town where teachers cannot afford to live in the town that they teach the
Yes.
kids. And and I've said it before, if a teacher cannot afford to live in your community, you have no community.
Exactly.
Because these are the
Exactly.
people who
Yes.
make community.
Yes,
You
yes.
know.
And teachers are so important.
Right,
They're just as important as a doctor and an attorney.
Correct,
You know, you
correct,
need,
correct.
because education is
Correct,
key.
correct.
Again, you will never go any further than what you've been exposed to.
Right.
And the teacher who instills value and
Right.
gives you, who educates you,
Right.
she needs to be valued more. It's sad when I look and I see that a teacher makes, on an average, $35,000, $45,000. Are you serious right now? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And then
right.
they take that little bit of money and they help the children that they're
Right,
teaching.
right.
You know, because that child, I got to tell you, my daughter, the school supply list came to like almost $200.
Right.
But
Right.
what about the person who can't afford that?
Right.
So here's the teacher with her caring spirit helping out the child or the children
Right.
who can't afford it. And that's unfair to the teacher. Our tax dollars pays her salary. Why isn't she being paid more? Because she is of value to our children.
Right. They not only does the system seem to care less about the teacher than ever before, it seems to care less about the child and the child's mother and father less than ever. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
I heard some stuff in the last election, the last presidential election, and a few of the local elections and congressional elections that I knew people thought. I never thought they would have the, tenacity or temerity to say, in a microphone. Some stuff about takers and givers and job creators and 47% that want stuff, and just all sorts of strange, creepy type stuff.
Wow.
And it is very, very unfortunate. I've heard things like we're closing failing schools, and I'm trying.
But why are the schools failing?
But how can a school fail? A
This
school
is
is
what
a
I'm saying.
building.
Yeah. Why
If
is
there's
it
some
failing?
adjustment that has to be made with the
Yes.
personnel,
Yes.
that can be adjusted. But a school is just a building.
Yes.
You could teach kids in a gymnasium.
Yes.
You could teach kids in your backyard.
Yes.
The school is
People have
just
done
a
it.
building.
Yes,
right?
yes. And it's sad because when the politician is running for office, the first thing is the seniors and the
Right,
children.
right.
That's the first thing we're going to help the seniors, we're going to help the babies.
Right.
And for myself, coming from an early childhood background,
Right.
I can clearly, honestly sit here and say the first thing that's cut always is the early childhood.
Right.
It's always cut. And education is cut as soon as they get in office, and then the services to the elderly. But the reason why I believe they do that is because the working class love the elderly and the children, because they're the ones who are, how do I say, they're not, I don't want to say they're not productive, they're not an asset. They're more of a liability. And the working people are an asset.
Right.
So but they're caring. So what they do is they say, oh, we want to help the children and we want to help the seniors. But then when they get in office, oh, we have to budget cut the children. We have to take away service to the elderly. And but what got you in office was to help those that need help.
Right.
And if the children are having services cut at this age, what's going to happen by the time they get here to the senior? And the seniors, you can't play with them because they come out and they vote, they speak, they have a
they
voice.
know their stuff. They know their stuff.
But we're still fighting for them, and we're
Right.
fighting for the babies.
Right.
You know, and it's important not to cut them because they need. They're only on this earth. What? You have a 3-year-old. They're
Right.
here 3 years.
Right.
It's up to us to instill things in them.
Right.
And if we don't have the resources, you yourself become aggravated,
Right.
and then you can't help who you set out to help. But back to your question about unemployment and, you know, people helping themselves, 47%. You know, I believe that there should be systems in place. I don't believe in stronger gun laws, and I get so much backlash about that. I don't believe in stronger gun laws. I don't believe in laws put in place because of a situation. Bottom line to me is that...
Reactionary laws.
Yes, exactly. I believe that you need to educate people. You need to give people a sense of worth. Then you don't have to make laws because by nature, you're going to fail at those laws. It's human nature. The laws are set up for you to fail, you know, and so if you at least educate the people, you will find less crime. Because if I'm given the capabilities and the means of supplying for my family, providing for my family, will I need food stamps?
Right.
Will I need unemployment? Because if I feel a certain way about myself, if this job cuts me, I still know how to go out and maybe put cabinets up. So now that's a business. I just became an entrepreneur.
Right.
But if I'm relying on a system
Right.
that has been set up from the beginning to fail people, not just black people, but people.
Right.
Because the system, it looks to enslave you. It deceives you, then it enslaves you, and then it destroys you. Because you have people that have come from great jobs and they're collecting unemployment. Do you know what that does to them?
Yeah. Yeah.
The dynamics
I know,
of their
trust me, I know.
household has changed.
Right.
And it's very easy for someone who's getting money,
Right.
their income hasn't changed, to say, oh, well, you know, those people need to do this, those people need to. No, it bothers. It takes away something here every time you have to beg someone to feed you and to feed your family when once before you did. But if we have in the school systems entrepreneurial training, everybody's not an entrepreneur,
Right.
but that's okay. But if we include in the curriculum self-esteem,
Right.
self-worth, and morals and values, guess what? We will graduate some very powerful and strong leaders, no matter what they do. And any storm that comes up against them, they will be able to rise above it. Because that's what we were put here to do, rise above any storm that comes our way.
Right.
But if you don't know that here, you'll just sink. We weren't put here to sink.
What you say is spot on, because when I was going to school, I got a very good academic background. Coming up in my generation and not going to college, an academic background meant that I was just smart enough to work in the Xerox room.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere along the line, I learned about this word. I was actually this word long before I knew the word, and the word is autodidact. That is a person who teaches themselves stuff.
Oh.
And in the course of surviving, raising kids on my own and having to make something real out of something that's not, being responsible for bringing home some bologna and some bread, you know, and not getting these kids thrown in the park. You learn different things. And I reached a point where I could almost do anything, no matter, so I could actually like put in the toilet, fix the ceiling, you know,
Yes.
Play the piano and sing a song on the street, you know, file your taxes, you
Yes,
know, whatever
yes.
it was. Strangely enough, I became more empowered, more able to progress from point A to point B than I ever could just in the context of learning nothing but pure academics.
Exactly. Exactly.
We have an education system that might have been designed for the 1950s, but it is out of place in
Absolutely.
the 21st century.
Yes, yes.
And our young people should be allowed to learn a number of things so that they can first and foremost find out what it is they want to do.
Absolutely.
And have some ability to at least attempt to make their dreams come true.
Absolutely.
And we are getting rid of those programs
Yeah.
more and more and more. We don't like arts in the school. We don't like,
You know, and that's
it's
awful.
amazing.
It's
Right.
awful because art is beautiful.
Right.
Drama,
right.
the phys
And it
ed,
makes
all
you
of those
smart.
things. Yes,
and
it
makes
does.
You, and it makes you physically
But
fit.
everyone is not into math and science.
Right.
There are people who, like myself,
Right.
I mean, I have a balance, but there are people who are artsy.
Right,
So why would you
right.
cut that? But to me, I believe that you cut that program because if I'm not able to be creative,
Right.
now I'm aggravated.
Right.
And then I become aggravated, and then what am I hearing? I'm hearing negative stuff all day. I mean, like, things have gone from, I personally don't care for reality shows. I don't. Most of them are not, if not all of them, are not positive. And to me, when you
Right.
have a platform,
Right.
you need to make it work for you where you are changing society for the better. Not coming with your ignorance and that foolishness. We see that when we step outside. But when you're looking at television, you really want something different, I would say, because it's a forum where it controls the mind.
Right.
So now you have all these news channels, and there's nothing wrong with them. But you have a lot of news channels, and everything is negative. Down to, oh my goodness, grab an umbrella and, put on your heavy coat because it's going to rain 3 inches. Okay, I remember when I was younger, it rained 6 inches, so
Oh man,
you
they
didn't
used to
give a
close down the
forecast.
schools. It was like storms.
But this-
right.
You know,
right.
they make it bigger than what it is.
Right.
You know, and to me, it's like, stop promoting fear.
Right.
Because what happens is, if all you hear is negativity all day, you go outside in your community and it's negative.
Yeah.
Everything around you is negative. You have to fight super, super, super hard to come and break out of that.
Yeah.
You know, and not many people can do that.
Yeah.
But I believe that because we're more aware of what's going on now, with all these problems and challenges, it gives us the opportunity to be able to share and lift up each other. You
Right,
know,
right,
and you don't have to sit there every day and beat someone over the head,
Right.
but you could just drop a seed.
Right.
Seeds are words and they're powerful, negative or positive. So if you drop the right word,
Yeah.
you know, the person will remember that and say, you know, that person said that I'm a reader, or I can write books, or, you know, I'm a singer. You know, they may awaken something that you didn't know that you had in you, just as well as someone who comes along and says, you know, oh, you're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. Especially for young guys.
Right.
You know,
right.
guys, they'll be on the corner.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. They're gathering, they're talking, they're communicating. It becomes a problem when their mind is idle.
Right.
But you'll have that one guy that says, oh, I was thinking about becoming a writer. The rest of them are like, but they'll shoot it down because they don't have the self-esteem.
Right.
So they'll shoot him down for having that thought.
Right.
And if he's not comfortable enough in his skin, he'll succumb to the thoughts of the crowd. And that's a problem. You need to be equally yoked. And parents, they play an important role in their children's lives. They don't realize it, but they do, because you have parents that feel like, oh, let me just send you to school. But now you're sending them to school with nothing. You can't rely on the teacher to raise your child, because what if the morals and values of that teacher's household is different from yours? And then, I always take it back to the system. It's set up to fail you.
Correct.
It looks to enslave you, because
Correct.
you know what? If there's no mom and dad, it's just mom, she has to work. She doesn't get home
And
at
the system
6
changed
o'clock.
the teacher.
She may get home at 8.
Shackles the teacher too,
Yes.
because it is very regimented in what it allows you to do and
Yes.
not do.
Yes.
So
Oh, yes. They're
not
coming
everything
down on
works
those teachers.
Not everything works for everyone,
That's
but you
right.
have to follow
Yes.
this system, you know. And a
And,
lot of
yeah.
times it's very, very difficult.
And, you know, the people that's passing the laws, their children don't go to public school.
Right.
Their children, even if they live in nice gated communities,
Right.
they still don't
Right.
attend the public school in that community.
And they're so privileged that it wouldn't
But
matter
then-
what school they went to, because
But how can you...
their name gets in
Right.
there.
But
Right.
how can you make a suggestion if you haven't gone through this path that these children are on? How can you speak to and lay laws if you've never had a hungry day? If your mother didn't do drugs, or
Right,
if
right.
your father was
Right.
locked up. I mean, I did daycare for 16 years, and it shifted in my community with Jamaica, Queens. It shifted from working class to shelter.
Right.
And it happened slowly but quickly. And I was fighting against the tide, because I'm trying to speak to a bunch of people that I couldn't speak to. I couldn't relate to them. I was trying. I mean, simple things like, you know, you need to bring in more Pampers. The baby doesn't have milk, you know, and the baby's not clean.
Right.
And these are things that is normal to someone else. They know to come in and have these supplies for their children. But if someone has come through the shelter because of, for whatever reason, and they're not educated, because, you know, frankly, it's not about the money. It's,
Right.
to me, it's always about the mindset.
When did that happen, though? When did we become such? Because it's not even intentional.
Slowly
Somewhere along the way, we have become so inadequate at being parents. A lot of the people are young, but even those people who are not young are just really inadequate at
selfish. It goes back to selfish.
How did that happen?
You know what? The enemy came in the middle of the night and just flipped it. And it happened so subtle.
Yeah.
Because you throw a little something in, and the people are okay with it, and then you make it harder and harder. You look up, and you have... We're in a new millennium. Why are there so many people in the shelter? The system failed them. You know, we should not have so many people in the shelter. And I'm going to say it over and over again. You have to educate the mind. You have to educate the people. And it doesn't have to be academics, but it has to be a simple, "Hi, how are you? You look great. Oh, did you ever think about doing this? Perhaps you should try doing that." And then, of course, the person's going to say, "Oh, no, I can't do that. I can't see myself." Okay, wait a minute. Didn't you have dreams when you was a little girl or a little boy? And what were those dreams? Dream again. It's okay, because dreams are the channel to your goals. You need the dreams for the vision to take you there. You know, and so many people are in a box. So many people feel hopeless. And we don't want people to get to a place of despair and hopelessness, because then what you're going to find is more and more shootings. And then the people that are part of the system, they don't understand, because they're so caught up in themselves that they feel like, oh, well, you
They're
know
in
what,
a
that
hopeless
person,
situation,
they
too.
are,
They are trapped in the
So they
same
would
cycle.
prefer to put a law
Right.
in
Right.
place
Right.
to have you in jail. I
Right.
mean, CNBC
Right.
released yesterday it costs $167,000 a year to house an
This thing is
inmate.
talking to me. It's
Oh.
not even on. Hello, hello. Yeah, go on, I'm sorry.
To house an inmate.
Right.
It's cheaper to put someone through
Correct.
college.
Correct.
You could put 3 people through a community college
Correct.
for that price. You know, but see, again, the system is not set up for you to prosper. The system is set up for you to
Right,
fail.
Right. Right.
And see, you know, even down to mere word of prospering and prosperity, the enemy, and I say the enemy, has the people blinded. Has them blinded to believe that you don't want to prosper. Because people that prosper, they'll show you a shady, crooked guy.
Right.
But he's not prospering.
Right.
He's not prospering.
Right.
What he's doing is he's stealing. He's doing the same thing the guy on the street corner is doing. You know, he's stealing. You want to prosper because prosperity means good health. It means wealth. It means emotionally, psychologically, and socially. Everything, the whole you, is complete. That's what prosperity is. And when you know that, and you're living the life that you see for yourself, you don't chase money. Money chases you.
Yeah.
And then when the money chases you, you being a whole person, you will go out there and help someone.
Yeah.
Not one, but many. But when you're sitting there and you're getting a healthy diet of negativity, and then you look around and everything around you is negative, what are you going to do? You're just going to succumb to your environment.
Right.
But we weren't put here to do that.
Right.
We were put here to achieve. And the funny thing about that is that if one person fails, we all fail. And it's very easy for people to say, oh, it doesn't affect me. Yes, it does. Because if this young girl gets pregnant and she's not educated, your tax dollars is now have to take care of her and her baby.
Right.
So yes, it does affect you.
Right.
You may not shell out every day, but you're shelling out in your taxes.
Right.
And it's not just her, it's all of them. So wouldn't it be cheaper to just have a system, an educational system that helps everybody? You know, I went into daycare because I wanted to be the first person to educate the children. The African-American children, to give them a self-esteem. So that way, when they got out into the world, because I gave them the foundation, they had the self-esteem. When they got out there into the world, no one could throw negativity at them and they take it and receive it. I instill such, just such greatness in the children. And I'm not bragging. What I'm saying is, I'm happy for the time that I did it. I did it for 16 years. And one of the children, he goes to the college that I attended. You know, those days that I felt really frustrated at the children that I was now training, I would get a call from a parent and say, oh, Miss Yolanda, thanks, you know, you were the reason why my child is here, there. And that is important to me. But then in the interim, I realized it's not so much the children, it's the adults. So that's what made me go into motivational speaking, life coach, because life is everything.
Right.
And if you don't value yourself in this life, you're not going to value me.
Right.
And if you don't value me, then I have to worry about when I step outside on my child or a family member, you who don't care about anything, harming someone, if not me, someone else. But it's just cheaper if I just said, you know, hi, how are you this morning? You look great. Have an awesome day.
Right.
You know, that changes and it's contagious. Just like grunting and having an attitude is contagious.
And, good. You put up the number. If somebody wants to come in and ask, we have a call. Put the call through. I'm sorry. I didn't even look that way. I was so enraptured. Caller, if you're there.
Hello?
Hi. How you doing? Good afternoon. What's up, brother?
Oh, man, I'm enjoying the show, listening to Sister Pickett and whatnot. And, you know, like, like most of your shows, if not all of your shows, every time somebody talk and I end up reflecting on what's being said. And, you know, like I was trying to, like, think about, like, in our communities when you were speaking on the rent parties and things like that, where was, like, the demarcation of when these things basically became passe. And, you know,
Turn it
it
up
was
just
like
a little bit. I'm talking to the people in the control room.
Repeat theme in which it was like when crack entered our communities, that's when a lot of things went out the window and whatnot. You know, distrust, you know, was injected into our communities and things like that. You know, and you know, like how y'all was saying fear, fear, fear. Because, you know, like I was just thinking how now they're privatizing prison systems now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? These jails are being privatized where they don't belong to New York State or to the state in which they're in. You know what I mean? So you got politicians that are actually stockholders in these jails.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, they're
You know?
all stockholders.
So don't you find it interesting how they try and demonize teachers? They so-called, all of a sudden, you know, like if you listen to the news, you would think that our kids are being taught by potential pedophiles.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Or
Yes.
pedophiles in waiting and whatnot.
Right.
You know, and, you know, like they always want to harp on the failures of the school being because of the teachers or something like that. You know, our kids don't even have, I remember when I was a kid, from 12 to 1 o'clock, that was recess.
Yes.
You went about your business, came back into school, burnt off that little energy.
Yes.
All these energetic, over-sugarized kids are now cooped up in these buildings,
Yep.
and when they act up, they want to, you know, politicians, you know, the people that we elect in these offices, it just amazes me how 1 minute they'll smile in your face, and then the next minute they want to categorize you as one of the reasons why society is falling apart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like all these overachievers that are basically want to get their hand in the pot, and they just need you for just that day.
Yeah.
And then after a while, you're basically the enemy. Just like our government's closed right now, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Just like I think the sister had said something about a house divided. You know, they're spewing all this Christianity stuff and whatnot, but they're basically breaking one of the most cardinal rules.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you know the sad thing about it, you will have somebody that lives in an apartment right next door to you, who's dealing with the same things as we are, who might just happen to have a job, but somehow they want to start shaking their fists at somebody with a benefit card. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like these you know, it just amazes me how people don't realize that they're being manipulated.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just thankful for the show, and y'all keep up the good work, y'all.
Oh, thank you, brother. I mean, that's you've given us, given me anything, a few things to nosh on. But what he says is correct.
Yeah.
First of all, people do use everything, including Jesus Christ himself, to manipulate. And somehow they've come up with some sort of logic that all the hateful things that has been said and done is indicative of Jesus
And
Christ,
Christianity.
right?
But the thing is, those people who are speaking in the name of Jesus, they're not. They're saying Jesus, but they don't have Jesus in them. Because when you have Jesus in you and he's operating from you, you're operating from him, I should say, you're about togetherness. You're about love, and you're about uplifting.
But their methods are
But
so
because
effective in manipulating
but
people.
they're not-
It's so disappointing.
And you know what? Satan was very cunning.
Yes,
very,
he was.
very
You're
cunning.
right. You're right.
He's not
You're right.
crass. He's not crass
You're
at all.
right. You're right.
So he's only going to tempt you with, you know, what your weakness is.
Right.
But, you know.
And he was the cutie pie angel. He wasn't, you know,
Exactly.
right.
Very,
he was
you
the
know.
one looking in the mirror saying, I should be running things up in here. Right. So
True. Yes. Excuse me. And they do. They use Christianity as a way of keeping you binded, you know, keeping you down.
Right.
But those people are not Christians.
Right.
Just because you say you're a Christian does not mean you're a Christian. Christianity is a lifestyle. So how you live your life, not just, oh, I'm a good person, because there are no good people. Let's get that clear. There are no good people. We fall short all day, every day. But what we do is, as Christians, is that you sin less when you give your life to Christ. And again, your lifestyle reflects that. Because, see, when you're operating from God, that place of peace, if you say something that annoys me, you can't ruffle my feathers. I may be a little annoyed, but what you're saying, it has no relevance because I'm so here spiritually, you know, and I understand that you're speaking, you're being used. You know, you're being used by the forces that are out here.
Right.
And, you know, I'm a Christian,
Right.
and I don't want to even say a Christian. I'm a Christ follower, but I'm a believer in Christ. I have a relationship with Christ because I read my word. And you have people who do not read the Bible.
How do you address those people? Because there are a lot of people who are really, in the truest, I mean, in the technical sense of the word, Christians. They actually believe that what they are saying is Christianity according to the way they see it. And a lot of the stuff that they say is just so unkind, so judgmental, so...
because they're not in the Word. What happens is, for many people, they read the Bible, but they find a scripture in the Bible to go along with what they're doing in the world. Instead of reading the Word and letting the Word change them, they want to go in, find a scripture that validates that kind of foolishness.
Right, right.
And then
right.
do things and hide behind, oh, I'm a Christian. No, you're not. Clearly. Because, see, the Bible says that you know a tree by its fruit. So if you're looking at this person, and this person is saying, I'm a Christian, but they're still smoking, they're still drinking, the same as they did 10 years ago, they're not having a relationship with God. They're not. Because they're not allowing the Word to change them. And when the Word gets in you, it changes you. It changes you from that heavy smoker, that heavy drinker, because now you're being convicted. Your spirit is convicting you.
Right.
You know, so when I see people who say that they're Christians and they have on mini skirts and they speak to you in a nasty tone,
Right, right.
I'm saying, okay, are you operating from self?
Right. Or just this, this tone, this. I'm saved and you're not. You're gonna go to hell,
They're
and
not,
I'm. You know.
they're not of
you
God.
know,
They're not. They're
it's-
operating from
it's-
themselves.
It actually chases people away.
Yeah, it
There are
does.
so many people who, like, you know.
But that's why I said Christianity is a lifestyle. I can't tell you my life. I can only show you my life. So if I'm living my life a certain way, you're going to look and say, I want to live my life like that too. I don't have to beat you over the head with the Bible. All I have to do is live my life the way the Holy Spirit is guiding me to live it. And then that will make you want to say, you know what? Wow. Who is that you talk to? How do I know that guy? How can I meet that guy? You know? And that's how you win souls to Christ. Not beating them over the head with the Word says and the Word says. No, no.
Tell us about a few of the things that you do now. You have a blog talk radio.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I do Blog Talk
How do people
Radio.
listen to you? Get to hear you and.
On the radio, you could go into Blog Talk Radio at A Unique You Coaching.
Okay.
Because I am a coach and I'm a speaker, and it's a unique
Spell it out,
style.
because not everybody knows how to spell unique.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah, C-K-U-N-I-C-K.
I know, right? Creative. No, I'm not being creative.
Is it two E's?
It's A Unique You Coaching. It's www.AUNIQUEYOU Coaching, COACHING.com.
Okay.
And that's my website.
Okay.
And I post things. I'm also on Facebook at A Unique You Coaching on Facebook. And I just send out, you know, quotes to uplift people. Because my thing is, my gift is to make sure that people's eyes are open. and to see that they are part of something greater than this. You know, that there's so much more to your life than what you see, and that ultimately you're in control over your life. To sit there and say, oh, I'm not this because of so-and-so, it's a cop-out. You know why it's a cop-out? Because you're not taking personal responsibility for your behavior.
Wow. Wow.
You know, and you know how, for example, someone in a relationship.
That's more difficult than most people.
Well,
most people,
you make a decision.
Right.
When you make a decision to change, you're going to change no
Why
matter
you beat
what's
up the
coming.
woman? She made me. She
Right.
Made,
How did she make you do that?
Right,
You know, because the last woman you dated, you beat her up.
Right.
So the
She
common
made me do it too.
denominator is you. You're the
Correct,
same person
correct.
showing up
It's
in each
very,
relationship.
Very difficult for people to take personal responsibility.
Exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's the start of a change in yourself. People, it's so much easier to blame, oh, my mother didn't do this, my father wasn't there, Uncle Cousin Joe touched me, whatever.
Right.
That was then.
Right.
Where are you today? So you're still allowing your past to harm you?
Right.
And, I mean, where would we be as a people if we allowed the 1600s to affect us?
Are you kidding?
You know, like
the 1960s, the 1950s,
but, you know,
the 1980s,
I
the
look
1990s.
I know, but I look at, I went to see Motown.
Oh,
That
okay.
was so amazing.
Wow.
And for me, the thing that I got from it was how he persevered in adversity.
Right.
And see, to me, yes, these are challenging times. But guess what? I believe it was more challenging then than it is now, because the opportunities were there, but you had to fight as hard to accomplish them. Nowadays, the opportunity is there, and you can get it if you get up and get it.
Right.
It's there.
Right.
You know, of course you're going to be met with resistance.
Right.
But resistance is good, because resistance shows you how strong you are.
Right.
You can say all day what you would do in a situation until you're confronted with it. And when the way you come out of that crisis, successfully or unsuccessfully, shows who you really are.
That's one of the things that holds so many people back. People will not make a move unless they're guaranteed success.
Yeah.
And because they won't make a move, they are in effect guaranteeing failure, because they're never going to move from point A to point B. So it has far less to do with being guaranteed that you will succeed as it has to do with having the tenacity to keep moving in spite of it all.
Yeah.
You know,
and not to make a decision is making a decision.
is making a decision.
You
Not
made
to
a
vote is
decision.
voting.
Exactly.
Right. Whoever
You're not
wins,
doing
you voted
anything.
for that one.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
And that's another thing. You know, even with the voting power, people were hosed down, lynched, beat up,
dogs,
killed. Dogs, exactly. So
just
you
to go
can
to
vote.
school. Forget about
Go
voting.
to school,
Right.
vote, to be able to own a home in neighborhoods, to be able to get married.
Right.
And
to
you
live
want
in
to
a neighborhood.
and you want to sit there. To sit there and say, oh, I can't because, excuse me?
Right.
That's what I mean about generationally. This generation, we're reaping the harvest of what was planted years ago. But what's unfortunate that I see happening is that the people that are benefiting are not passing it down.
Right.
And
we're
that's what
losing
we're
the
getting.
harvest.
Exactly.
Right. We've been handed the harvest, and we're
reaping the benefits.
Right.
It's all good.
Right.
But instead of saying, oh, I want to do this for the next generation,
Right.
it's, oh, well, they have to get it for themselves.
Right.
What? How did you get here? I mean, like,
Right.
you
What
know,
is that?
because it's selfishness. Like, I don't want to say it's Roosevelt or Eisenhower. One of them put in Social Security.
Right.
Where would people be today if he didn't put in
forget it.
Social
Forget
Security
about it.
years
Forget about
ago?
it. Forget
And
about
that's
it.
the same thing with
Forget about it.
Obamacare.
Right,
He's
right.
putting this in place for our children and our children's children.
People could have had single payer. Now, single payer is a system, and they convinced people, the proletariat, the people who struggle, people who work, people who are poor, they convinced them to be against the single payer health care system. They had to abandon that.
Hello?
Hi. Oh, we have a caller. I'll take the call. Good afternoon, Carl. I'm sorry. I'm in here with my guest, and my guest is
Awesome.
fascinating. I completely forgot about you. But you're on. How you doing? I'm glad you spoke up.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good
I
afternoon.
just wanted to tell Miss Felder that I believe that she's truly blessed. I would like to commend her
Oh,
on her
thank you.
words of wisdom.
Thank you.
You know, everything that I'm hearing from her, so positive, and to me to be so true about the way she speaks about Christianity. You have to live the life in order for someone else to follow you.
Yes.
And I am so much of a believer in that. And I'd just like to tell you, God bless you, sis.
Thank you.
And, you know, keep on doing what you're doing. Don't stop.
Thank you.
Okay? Have a blessed day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Excellent. Yeah, she had me going. I forgot completely. I'm sorry, Carl. I completely forgot about calls. I forgot about cameras. I forgot about everything. But no, do we still have a call? If we still have a call, put it through. I don't know.
Yeah, somebody's on the line.
All right, then come on. You're on.
Hey, Nat, this is Winston.
Hey, brother, how you doing?
And this young lady has a secret to how our entire future, if she can direct our young ladies, this
Turn your TV
then we
down,
have a
Winston. You know the
solution to
drill.
most of our problems, don't we? They pull up their pants and
Yeah, we're having
well, I'm sorry. I'm watching you on television.
Yeah,
I'm
turn the
talking
TV down, brother. Turn the TV down. This means you.
I just compliment you, Jim, my brother. It's an excellent topic, and I don't believe black people can survive without God.
Excellent, 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 excellent.
And the God in me loves the God in you, my brother.
All right, brother. All right,
Take care.
brother.
Bye.
All right, thank you. But he's right. A lot of Christians have no idea what it truly means to be Christian. They've become
That's why we can't
like-
call them Christians.
Yeah, but they believe they're Christians.
No, they
so
don't.
I'm reluctant. Okay. all
No,
right,
they don't.
all right.
See, to someone who doesn't know what Christianity means, they're looking at that person and they're saying, boy, that's a Christian? Well, I'm good the way I am.
Right.
You know?
Do we still have a call on?
Wow, yes.
All right. And we're getting ready to go off the air. So, caller, you got 10 seconds. I'm going to say hi. You can get on Blog Talk, but go to your search engine, type in Yolanda Felder. You should get the whole thing. Just click it on. You see her face. Look for her image. Click it on Motivational Speaker. Yolanda Felder, Motivational Speaker. That's all the time we have. We're winding down. I got 10 seconds to say bye-bye. And I want to thank you so much. It has
Thank
been
you.
a tremendous
This
experience.
was awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. You've done wonders. Peace. We'll see you next week.